Well, turns out one of the things Season 6 is doing consistently well is Spike episodes. Yeah, this was another really good outing for our favorite dragon assistant. And again, shows that he can be the focus of the episode without being the cause of the problem of the episode. Although now that I think about it, both of them did revolve around him bringing friendship to a race that currently didn't have it. Which kinda makes him a better friendship teacher than Twilight. Speaking of that, though, yay! Starlight's back! It's about friggin' time! Seriously, where has she been all this time? I'm still going with doing shenanigans with Trixie. And while she was part of the episode, she wasn't the focal point of the episode, which is good. It shows her being involved in these things. Plus, going back to the Crystal Empire to see Sunburst is a really good bit of continuity. Actually, there's continuity all over this episode. Referencing the royal wedding, the Changeling attack thereof, the Crystal Games, and of course Spike still being a hero and celebrity in the Crystal Empire. Which does give him a bit of a big head, and I can see how that can be a little annoying, but he's such a butt monkey the rest of the time, it's just good to let the dragon have his due. Now, let's talk about the main focus of this episode, Thorax, the good Changeling. And yeah, like most people in fandom, I'm disappointed that he isn't Kevin. In fact, I was really expecting that in the flashback where he got blown out of Camelot, they'd show him meeting up with Matilda and kind of explain that. And while I would have been a little disappointed in Kevin not being his official name, Thorax is still a cool one, and it just would have been a nice way to tie that up. But on the plus side, that means that Thorax and Kevin could someday meet. Now that could be a really interesting episode. And if not, I'm sure you fanfic writers out there will do something with it. I do hope we get to see something else with Thorax somewhere along the line, because it is a really interesting idea. I'm not sure if reforming all the changelings would be good, but one or two here and there would be a nice change of pace. I do really hope now that the season finale involves Queen Chrysalis, because I really want to see how she deals with Thorax. Or how the other changelings deal with him, for that matter. So you're going to get the same reception the Crystal Empire gave him? Because they were all jerks towards him, although I can't really blame them. Especially Caden's shining armor, given the last experience they had with them. And still, the idea that changelings can feed off love in a more indirect way is an interesting one. That has been a fandom trope for a while now, and it's really cool to see it worked into the show. Although, once again, the reformation was a little quick, but then again, Thorax didn't really need to reform, it was the other ponies that needed to. One really subtle bit that I liked the most was during Spike's song to try to win them over, the first one that dropped their angry glare was Starlight. Yeah, she more than any pony would know what it's like to be in that situation, and again, Thorax really didn't do anything wrong, it's just being lumped in with his kind. It sounds really bad when you put it that way, but that's what the episode was doing! So there could be some really weird real-world implications if you read too much into it, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to enjoy what was a really good Spike episode that brought a new interesting character to the table. I just hope they do a little more with him than they have the other new characters they introduced this season. There's one more thing I have to point out, though. During the search for Thorax, Twilight was saying that the whole thing was getting out of hand. Now, of course, my immediate reaction was, stop saying hand! But then, I thought about it. And no, that makes sense for Twilight to say, because she would know what hands are, wouldn't she? Oh, I'm sure this was an unintentional oversight on the new writer's parts, but for me, that was an unintentional callback to Equestria Girls. Equestria Girls is canon! Confirmed! That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And with that, I'm closing this out, and I hope you'll join me again to share more of my pony thoughts.